There's a specific moment that happens right before you attract what you want. Most people miss it completely. Scientists tried to hide this discovery for years because it challenges everything we thought we knew about manifestation. But once you understand this quantum principle, you'll see why some people seem to magnetically pull opportunities toward them while others struggle for decades. What I'm about to share with you isn't motivation. It's not mindset. And it's definitely not some watered-down version of the law of attraction where you just think positive thoughts and hope good things happen. What I'm going to explain is a documented quantum phenomenon that reveals the actual mechanism by which your internal state reorganizes external reality. And here's what's wild. This isn't New Age philosophy. This is physics. This is neuroscience. This is how the universe actually functions at the most fundamental level. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing it everywhere. You'll see it in your relationships, in your bank account, in the opportunities that show up, in the synchronicities that seem too perfect to be coincidence. Because they're not coincidence. There's a hidden architecture underneath what we call reality. And you're either participating in it consciously or unconsciously. But either way, you're participating. So today, I'm going to walk you through something that most teachers completely skip over: the quantum link. The specific mechanism that connects your internal frequency to external outcomes. And more importantly, I'm going to show you the exact moment this link activates. Because that moment, that split second where the quantum field reorganizes around you, that's where everything changes. Miss that moment, and you can work hard for years and still feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. But catch that moment, everything you want starts flowing toward you with almost zero resistance. Here's what most people get wrong about manifestation. They think it's about wanting something really bad. Like if you just desire it enough, if you visualize it enough, if you affirm it enough, eventually the universe will deliver. And look, I'm not saying those things don't matter, but they're not the mechanism. They're preparation, they're inputs. But the actual link, the thing that causes your desire to materialize in physical form, happens in a completely different way. Let me give you an example. You know that feeling when you're trying really hard to remember someone's name and you can't? You're straining, you're thinking, you're going through every possible letter combination. And nothing. But then the moment you stop trying, the moment you let go and move on to something else, boom, the name pops into your head. Why does that happen? It's not because you stopped caring. It's because you released the resistance. You stopped collapsing the wave function with your need to control the outcome. And this is the exact same thing that happens with attraction. When you're in a state of needing something, when you're desperate for it, when you're constantly checking to see if it's here yet, you're actually creating interference. You're broadcasting a frequency that says, "I don't have this." And the quantum field responds to that frequency. Not your words, not your visualizations, your actual state of being. Now, I want you to think about someone you know who just seems to attract good things. They don't try that hard. They're not the most talented person in the room. They're not working themselves to death. But somehow, opportunities find them. The right people show up. Money flows easier. Relationships work out. And you might look at them and think, well, they're just lucky. But luck is just unconscious mastery of this quantum link. What they've done, usually without even realizing it, is they've stabilized a frequency in their nervous system that says, "I already have what I need." And from that place of already having, more comes. Not because the universe rewards confidence, but because that frequency is coherent. It's not split. It's not broadcasting mixed signals. And when your signal is clean, the field reorganizes around it. So let's get into the actual science here, because this is where it gets really interesting. In quantum physics, there's something called superposition. It means that a particle exists in all possible states simultaneously until it's observed. And the moment you observe it, the moment you measure it, it collapses into one specific state. This is not theory, this is verified. This is how reality works at the quantum level. Now here's where it connects to you. Your consciousness is the observer. Your attention, your focus, your emotional state, these are the tools of observation. And what you're observing isn't just particles in a lab. You're observing the field of possibility that surrounds your life. Every potential outcome, every version of your future, exists right now in superposition. And the version that collapses into your experience is determined by where your attention is anchored and what frequency you're broadcasting while you're anchored there. This is why two people can want the exact same thing, take the exact same actions, and get completely different results. Because it's not about the action, it's about the state you're in while you're taking the action. One person is taking action from desperation, from fear, from a need to prove something. The other person is taking action from alignment, from curiosity, from a place of already feeling fulfilled. Same action, different frequency, different outcome. And here's the part that blows people's minds. The quantum field doesn't operate in linear time. It's not like you do something today and 3 months from now you get a result. That's how we experience it because we're locked into this linear perception. But at the quantum level, cause and effect happen simultaneously. The future and the past are influencing the present at the same time, which means the version of you that already has what you want is actually pulling you toward that reality right now. But you can only feel that pull. You can only align with that version of yourself when you're in a coherent state, when your nervous system isn't flooded with stress hormones, when your thoughts aren't constantly contradicting your desires, when you've stabilized into a frequency that matches the reality you want to experience. So here's the moment I was talking about at the beginning, the moment most people miss. It's not when you set the intention. It's not when you visualize. It's not when you take action. The quantum link activates in the moment of release. The moment you stop trying to force it and you drop into a state of allowing. And I know that sounds passive. I know it sounds like you're just supposed to sit around and wait for things to happen. But that's not what I'm saying. Release isn't passivity, it's presence. It's the shift from doing to being. And this is where the magic happens. Because when you're in a state of being, your entire electromagnetic field changes. Your heart rate variability shifts, your brain waves shift, and you begin broadcasting a signal that the quantum field can actually respond to. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was trying to figure out how to scale my business to the next level. And I was doing all the things. I was in the strategy sessions, I was hiring consultants, I was building funnels, I was working 14-hour days, and nothing was moving. I mean, we were growing, but it was slow, it was hard, and I felt like I was dragging this thing forward by force. And then one day, I just stopped. I didn't quit. I didn't give up on the vision. But I stopped trying to make it happen. I took a week off, and I just let myself be present. I let go of the timeline. I let go of the how. I let go of needing to figure it out. And in that space of release, something shifted. When I came back, within 2 weeks, 3 different opportunities appeared that I had no way of predicting. A partnership deal that doubled our revenue, a speaking opportunity that put me in front of thousands of people, and a conversation with someone who introduced me to a mentor who completely changed how I thought about business. None of these things were on my vision board. None of them came from my strategy. They emerged from the field because I had finally stopped collapsing the wave function with my need to control the outcome. And this is what I want you to understand. The quantum link activates when you stop being at war with where you are. When you stop resisting your current reality and you start accepting it as the perfect starting point. Not because your current reality is where you want to stay, but because acceptance is the frequency that allows new possibilities to emerge. Here's where most manifestation teachers get it completely wrong. They tell you to focus on what you want, visualize it, feel it, act as if it's already here. And on the surface, that sounds right, but there's a problem. If you're visualizing from a place of lack, if you're affirming from a place of not having, you're reinforcing the frequency of absence. You're telling the field, I don't have this yet, so I need to imagine having it. And the field doesn't respond to your imagination. It responds to your actual state. So if your actual state is one of lack, of longing, of needing something outside of you to feel complete, that's the reality you're going to keep creating. More lack, more longing, more needing. This is why people can do vision boards for years and nothing changes. This is why you can say affirmations until you're blue in the face and still feel stuck. Because the technique isn't the problem. The state you're doing the technique from is the problem. The quantum link doesn't activate through techniques, it activates through coherence. And coherence happens when your thoughts, your emotions, and your nervous system are all broadcasting the same signal. When there's no internal conflict. When you're not saying one thing and feeling another. So the real work isn't learning how to visualize better. The real work is learning how to stabilize your nervous system. How to release the limiting beliefs that are creating interference. How to shift from a frequency of needing to a frequency of already having. And when you do that, you don't need techniques anymore, because you become the technique. Your very presence begins to reorganize reality around you. Now let me introduce you to something that's going to completely shift how you think about this. It's called quantum entanglement. And I've talked about this before on the show, but I want to go deeper here because this is the actual mechanism that makes attraction work. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, they remain connected no matter how far apart they are. You can put one particle in New York and one in Tokyo, and the moment you change the state of one, the other responds instantly. Not a second later, not a millisecond later, instantly, faster than the speed of light, which shouldn't be possible according to classical physics. But it happens. It's been verified thousands of times. Now, if particles can be entangled, and you're made of particles, what does that mean for you? It means you're not separate from the things you want. You're not separate from the opportunities, the people, the resources, the circumstances that match your desires. You're entangled with them. They exist in the field right now, but whether they collapse into your physical experience depends on your frequency. And here's where it gets really practical. You become entangled with whatever you give your sustained attention to. If you're constantly thinking about problems, about what's not working, about what you don't have, you become entangled with more of that. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because entanglement is neutral. It's a mechanism. It responds to frequency, not morality. So the question isn't, how do I attract what I want? The question is, what am I currently entangled with? Because that's what's showing up in your life. Your relationships, your bank account, your health, your opportunities, they're all reflections of the frequencies you've been entangled with. And if you don't like what's showing up, you don't need to work harder. You need to disentangle from the old frequency and entangle with a new one. All right, so let's make this practical. How do you actually activate this quantum link? How do you shift from being entangled with lack and struggle to being entangled with abundance and ease? It's not complicated, but it does require consistency. Because you're not just changing your thoughts, you're rewiring your nervous system. You're building new neural pathways. You're stabilizing a new frequency. Step 1 is awareness. You have to become aware of your current frequency. And the fastest way to do that is to pay attention to how you feel. Not what you're thinking, but what you're feeling. Because your emotions are the language of the quantum field. When you feel stressed, anxious, frustrated, overwhelmed, you're in a primal state. Your sympathetic nervous system is active. And from that state, you're broadcasting a frequency of survival. And survival consciousness attracts survival circumstances. But when you feel calm, clear, grateful, excited, you're in a powerful state. Your parasympathetic nervous system is active. And from that state, you're broadcasting a frequency of thriving. And thriving consciousness attracts thriving circumstances. So step 1, just notice. Throughout your day, check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? And if you're feeling bad, don't judge it. Don't try to fix it. Just notice it. Because awareness is the first step to change. Step 2 is release. And this is the part most people skip. They go straight from awareness to trying to think positive thoughts. But you can't think your way out of a nervous system state. You have to release the charge. You have to let the emotion move through you. And the way you do that is by feeling it fully, without attaching a story to it. So if you notice you're feeling anxious, instead of saying, I shouldn't be anxious, what's wrong with me? I need to fix this. You just say, okay, there's anxiety here. Let me feel it. Where is it in my body? What does it actually feel like? And you breathe into it. You give it space. You let it be there without needing it to go away. And what happens is, within a few minutes, the charge dissipates, the nervous system regulates, and you drop back into a coherent state. Step 3 is recalibration. Now that you're in a coherent state, now that your nervous system is calm, this is when you set the new frequency. Not by forcing, not by trying really hard, but by asking yourself a simple question. If I already had what I want, how would I feel right now? And then you let yourself feel that. You don't visualize the thing. You don't think about the thing. You just embody the frequency of already having it, and you stay there. You marinate in that feeling. You let your nervous system memorize it, because your nervous system doesn't know the difference between something that's happening and something you're vividly imagining. So when you consistently generate the feeling of already having what you want, your nervous system starts to believe it's real. And when your nervous system believes it's real, your behavior changes. Your perception changes. Your decisions change. And the field reorganizes around that new signal. Now, here's something critical that most people don't understand. It's not enough to just feel good sometimes. It's not enough to do a 5-minute meditation in the morning and then spend the rest of your day stressed out and anxious. Because the quantum field responds to your dominant frequency, the signal you're broadcasting most consistently. Not occasionally, consistently. And this is what I call the coherence factor. Coherence means all parts of you are aligned. Your thoughts match your emotions. Your emotions match your nervous system state. Your nervous system state matches your actions. There's no internal conflict. There's no part of you saying one thing while another part contradicts it. And when you achieve coherence, even for short periods of time, the quantum link activates powerfully. Because a coherent signal is a strong signal. It's clear, it's focused, it's undiluted, and the field can respond to it immediately. This is why synchronicities start happening. This is why opportunities appear out of nowhere. This is why the right people show up at the right time. Not because you got lucky, but because your signal became coherent enough for the field to organize around it. So how do you build coherence? You eliminate the interference. You identify the limiting beliefs that are creating internal conflict. You notice when you're saying you want one thing but feeling another. You catch yourself when you're affirming abundance but thinking thoughts of scarcity. And you make a decision to align. And look, this isn't about being perfect. You're not going to maintain coherence 24/7. That's not realistic. But what you can do is increase the percentage. Maybe right now you're coherent 10% of the time. Can you get to 20%? Can you get to 30%? Because as that percentage increases, as you spend more time in a coherent state, the speed at which your reality shifts increases exponentially. Now I want to take this even deeper, because there's something happening here that goes beyond just attracting what you want. When you activate the quantum link, when you stabilize a new frequency, you're not just changing your circumstances, you're actually shifting dimensions. And I know that sounds weird, but stay with me. Think of reality like an ocean with infinite currents. Each current represents a different dimension of possibility, a different stream of reality. And right now, you're tuned into one specific stream. The stream where you have certain relationships, certain opportunities, certain challenges, certain limitations. But there are other streams. There's a stream where you're already financially abundant. There's a stream where you've already met your soulmate. There's a stream where you're already living your purpose. These aren't fantasies. These are actual dimensions of possibility that exist right now in the quantum field. You just haven't tuned into them yet. And the way you shift from one stream to another isn't by trying to force your current reality to change. It's by changing your frequency. Because your frequency determines which stream you're tuned into. It's like a radio. The songs are all broadcasting at the same time, but you only hear the one you're tuned to. Change the frequency, change the song. Change your internal frequency, change your reality stream. And this is why sometimes it feels like your life can shift overnight. You've heard stories of people who were struggling for years, and then suddenly everything changed. They met someone who introduced them to an opportunity. They had an insight that transformed their business. They experienced a breakthrough that healed a decades-old pattern. And from the outside, it looks random. It looks like luck. But what actually happened is they shifted streams. They changed their frequency and tuned into a different dimension of possibility. Here's something that's going to sound absolutely wild, but it's backed by quantum physics. The future you want already exists, not as a possibility, not as a potential. It exists now, in this moment. You just can't perceive it yet because you're tuned into a different timeline. And I'm not being poetic here. I'm talking about actual physics. In quantum mechanics, time isn't linear. All moments exist simultaneously. The past, the present, the future, they're all happening at once. We just experience them sequentially because of the way our consciousness is structured. But here's what that means for you. The version of you that already has what you want, that's already living the life you're trying to create, that version exists right now. And it's not separate from you. It's you, just in a different state, a different frequency, a different dimension. And when you activate the quantum link, when you stabilize the frequency of that future version of yourself, something incredible happens. The timeline collapses. The gap between where you are and where you want to be closes. Not because time speeds up, but because you're no longer experiencing the illusion of separation between current you and future you. This is why things can manifest faster than you expect, why opportunities can appear overnight, why solutions can emerge suddenly. Because you're not waiting for time to pass. You're collapsing the timeline by becoming the frequency of the outcome you desire. So let's bring this all the way home. How do you use this in your actual life? How do you activate the quantum link for something specific you want to create or attract? First, get clear on the what. What do you actually want? And I don't mean the thing, I mean the essence. Because most people think they want a specific job or a specific relationship or a specific amount of money. But what they really want is the feeling that thing will give them. Security, freedom, love, validation. Get to the essence. Second, feel into the frequency of already having it. Not by visualizing the thing, but by asking yourself, if I already had this, what would be different about how I feel right now? And then generate that feeling. Embody it. Let your nervous system experience it as if it's already real. Third, release the attachment to how it shows up. This is critical. The moment you get attached to a specific form, a specific person, a specific opportunity, you collapse the quantum field into one narrow possibility. But the field has infinite ways to deliver what you want, and often it delivers in ways that are better than what you imagined. So stay open, stay flexible, hold the frequency, but release the form. Fourth, take inspired action. Not forced action, not action from desperation, but action that feels aligned, action that feels exciting, action that flows naturally from the frequency you're holding. Because when you're in the quantum link, you'll start getting ideas, impulses, intuitions. And those aren't random. They're coordinates. They're the field showing you the path.